Hi everybody, welcome to Outlaws Dies. This is a tutorial video on our new die set, Bubble Art. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into how to use this die set. First off, what you're gonna notice is the die set comes with 7 pieces, and you don't see them right off the bat because the other 4 pieces are kind of hiding on the back, but they're there. These are the 4 rings that you're gonna use to actually accent your bubble border. There's 2 offset pieces, a left and right, and then of course there's the center overlapping rings. Now, this die set was designed so that you can do one of 3 types of borders if you like. You can do a complete border, which is going to be a complete offset, and your die sits completely in the middle. You'll also notice that there are spaces here, and here for these little itty bitty independent rings, and they will come when you cut your die set in the center there. Okay, what you will also be able to do is on the offsets, you can choose, because they are not connected, we do this for a reason, so that you can choose whether or not you want to leave your back piece as a straight edge, so that you could do a left border, a right border, a top border, or a bottom border, however you want. And I'll show you what I mean by that when I demonstrate how to cut it. Okay, I'm gonna go right into showing you how to cut this. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is considered an intricate die set. While we absolutely do not, and I repeat, do not recommend that you use metal shims for intricate die sets. They damage your dies and eventually will actually render the die completely useless and it won't cut properly. What we suggest instead when you're using intricate dies is to go ahead and add an extra piece of paper in between your sandwiches to give yourself just that little bit extra pressure that is going to allow that die to kind of really get smushed in between these 2 acrylic pieces. Okay, another thing that we also recommend is that you keep your top acrylic piece clean so that you don't push in or literally emboss any of this kind of junk and garbage that you're going to get into your cutting plate into your actual piece that you're cutting. One of the things that you'll notice right off the bat when you're trying to cut this is if you try and put it center like that, it may not always fit exactly on your sheet of paper. The die is created slightly larger than 12 inches. It's actually 12 1/4, but that is because there's an outside edge here and an outside edge here to allow for this cutting edge to have support. So what you may want to do is kind of make this a little bit cockeyed, and then that will make sure that you get your die completely into the color of the paper that you're using. Another thing that I will recommend to you is that when you're running the die, and this may shake my table a little bit, I'm sorry for that, but when you're running your die, go ahead and run the die through twice. Okay, since I put that extra shim of paper in there, it may work out okay, but I'm gonna go ahead and run it twice anyways, just to make sure that I get a really nice clean cut. Also, every die system is different. All the pressures for the die systems are different, and that's going to create lots of different warping and lots of different cutting tendencies of your machine. Okay, I'm going to put this back here. Now I'm going to go ahead and see how cleanly this lifts off now. There we go. And now you're going to notice there's 1, 2, 3 pieces here that are the little bubbles. You want to make sure not to lose those little guys. We're going to set those up here for now. Now, the insides of this die set, you'll notice these bubbles overlap. And what that does is bubbles are translucent, so they will actually allow for other lights and other colors to kind of come through from the background pieces. So where these pieces overlap, that would be a darker color, because whatever color you make this bubble, would actually overlap and have those 2 colors appear on top of each other. So if you were using vellum, you would see this much more easily, so that if you put a pink vellum piece here and a blue vellum piece here, this area would tend to look slightly purple. Okay, if you have vellum, this is a beautiful, wonderful set to use with colored vellums, because it will change that. Another thing that you can do as well with vellum is you can actually use Tim Holtz Distress inks onto the back side of the vellum, and you can color that vellum using your daubers and everything and shading it to where you can create your own colors. And that will also work very well with this, because what you can also do is you can do a rainbow myriad of those colors, and that would be a very, very beautiful way to showcase this piece. I don't have the time to do that, but I will have a tutorial later on that shows you that. Okay, so I'm just popping out all the different little pieces in here. One of the things that you may have noticed, that I made a really tight sandwich when I was running this. And one of the things that I'm really, really thrilled and happy to say about our new company that we are working with is our dies now have a proprietary coating on them. And you'll notice that this piece did not stick to the inside when you pulled the die off the piece. It didn't get stuck up in there to where you had to try and punch all these little holes, even though the release holes are there. Okay, we do have them. You'll notice that this completely fell right out. Very, very, very thrilled with that new addition on our dies, because it really does make a lot of difference when you're working with these intricate types of pieces. Okay, so that is the bottom base piece. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut. I don't need this anymore because my next ones are just straight lines, so they do not need as tight of a shim. And I would like to use, oh, I used up all my colors, so now I have to switch. Oh, wait, no, I'll use the teal. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, put my plates down in order here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut, technically this is the right side because we kind of do reverse it a little bit. But it doesn't really matter which side you decide to cut first, unless you really specifically want your bubbles facing a certain direction. Okay. Put my top plate on and run this through. Okay, and again, one of the things that I'm sure you noticed is the die is about 1/4 of an inch off one side and 1/4 of an inch off on the other side. My offsets, I always make larger than 12 inches. The reason I do that is because it allows you a lot of play to turn and twist the die however you want to do it on your paper, so that using a full 12 by 12 sheet of paper, you could actually cut it at a nice angle and make the bubbles appear like they're going to the left or going to the right. Just an extra little thing that I do to give you a little bit more creative options with the dies. Okay, so this is what I meant, again, by why my dies are separated left to right. It allows you to create a border so that if you're dropping this from the top or if you're coming up from the bottom, you can allow for that whole section to be used and you don't have to cut that second offset. Another thing that it also allows for you to do is if you wanted to create that type of layering with another color behind it, it allows for that as well. Okay, so I'm going to take that and then go ahead and you can see I'm going to put my piece right back in there. Now, when this, I'm going to show you kind of a little bit of a trick on how I measure out my things, okay? So if you take the die and you butt the die back up against the piece of paper, that edge of the die will actually catch, okay? And so what you want to do when you're going to make your secondary offset, you don't want to do them at the same time, and I know it's an extra step, but the reason why I suggest you not doing them at the same time is if when you're cutting them, one of them accidentally shifts, it can overlap the second die, and this will cause damage to your dies, and you really don't want that. Okay, now you can choose. One of the things that a lot of people like to do when they're working with dies is using washi tape. I do recommend that. But I also do recommend that if you're using washi tape, that you kind of take the sticky off of it a little bit, and you can use skin, you can use your clothes, you can use whatever you want to do. It's only going to be on there temporarily, so using your skin's not that big of a deal. Okay, so I want to go in there and I want to make sure that I'm positioning this and taping it to both the paper and the backing of the plastic, okay? Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna position my overlay back in here, and I'm gonna kind of butt it up against where the inside of this die edge is, okay? You can see that? And then that's gonna give me roughly the same distance, because the die edges are the same on both sets, on this piece, so that what I can do is I can go in and hold this down and butt this up the same way, okay, and hold it down. Oh, and I didn't, see, I made the mistake. I didn't get my tape ready to begin with, so this might actually stick because I'm not sticking it out. Okay. Get it a little unsticky here. All right, that, and there we go. Okay, and now what you can do is you can go back in and remove this set, because again, we don't want to be cutting with both of those just in case we have a shift. Okay, so there, now you're gonna have your second bubble piece. This is a unique little bubble. You can use it for a cloud border too. This is the opposite piece, and you could, if you are really into inking or anything else, you can also use these edges with your inks. And what I mean by that is you take your dauber and use a piece of paper, use this as a guideline, and if you come in with your dauber and you start doing some nice edge work here, this makes a really great stencil for cloud work. Okay, just a little tip, little trick you can do with the extra throwaway pieces that you would normally just toss. Okay. Put those away. I always like to put my pieces back on my thing because I have a very bad tendency of losing pieces all over my workspace because I'm a very messy worker. Okay, so there we go. And there we have it. So there's our border. And there is our piece. And it fits really nicely in there with a nice edge on both sides. Now, there's a couple different ways you can adhere this down. One of the great ways that everybody has, the Creative Memories has a repositionable tape runner that has micro dots on it. And what you can do is use the, oh gosh, I threw it somewhere. I was cleaning my desk in a hurry, so I don't know where I threw everything. You can use their rubber mat and run it across everywhere and then just wipe that off on your mat, and then that cleans up really easily. This is a great way to do it. Another great way that we recommend is the precision glue press, because this will actually go in very, very nicely. It has a very nice sharp tip there and puts glue all around the edges. Another type of glue that everybody else has is they have the little bottles with the same type of precision press, and those work great too. Okay, so just a couple of different ways that you can do that. But another thing that I want to show you before you glue this down to your piece is we have the extra bubbles that are on the back of the set. And you're kind of wondering, why do you have extra bubbles? Well, this is the reason why, okay? And I'm going to show you this piece. I'm going to bring it over to what I've got here. I'm going to bring this over. You'll notice I have a set hanging out right here. This is bubbles. This was one of our original bubble sets. We came out with this a couple years ago, and really fun set. And so this set here, Bubble Art, has been on my back burner for a long time. We couldn't manufacture it because it was very, very expensive. So now with our new manufacturer, we can bring that to market for you. And with this set, what it does is these bubbles are here, and they partner with this set to be able to be put, and I'm going to switch to this color so you can kind of see it. So just switch out here a little bit here. Oops, wrong way. Oops. I'm all backwards. Sorry, y'all. Okay. What they were designed to do, and I always design my sets, again, with partnership in mind, backwards and forwards capability with all of our different dies so they can go together. So these were designed to fit directly behind these circles. Okay, the circles that we give you in the bubble art set are here. And what they give you is they give you a ring, and then you get the inside piece to that ring. Now the inside piece to the ring will fit exactly in the center of this ring, but you'll notice there's a little tiny bit of a gap. And that happens because when you cut it, you actually bend the paper in, so it gives you that tiniest of like 1/32 of an inch of a gap. And a lot of people don't like that, so that's why, again, I created the partner sets. Now, this set, because I did sneak peek my set here, Bubble Art, at a previous retreat with Creative Design Retreats, because I did that, this set, in anticipation of this, has sold out. We are coming back with this set. It's coming back out. So it's just going to take a little bit to get back in stock. Okay, but please get on our waiting list on our website if you would like this partner set. If you want to do this technique and do not have this and can, you know, if you don't want to buy the extra set and everything else, I totally understand. Use what you have in your stash, okay? That's why I have these right here to show you. Even though I have 4 bubble sizes over here, this last bubble size is really, really small at 1/2 inch. And my 1/2 inch punch has wandered off somewhere. So I have the dimensions here. This is a 1 1/2 inch bubble. This is a 1 1/8 inch bubble. And this is a 3/4 inch bubble. That will go underneath the largest of the bubbles, the medium bubble, or the second largest, I should say, and then second to smallest, and then of course the smallest one will fit in the smallest little dot. The reason why I like having these going behind is so you can see when you set one behind the other rather than on top, you can show a lot of depth in the bubbles. And what you can also do, and there's no reason you absolutely can't do this, if you wanted to show true depth with an opaque type of bubble, is you would go in and you would cut your ring here and here. And I'm going to go ahead and do that so you can kind of see it. I'm like cutting it very imperfectly, so don't yell. I know you're probably screaming on the thing. Ah, there's an edge. Okay. Come on. I'm doing this quickly. I said I'm not taking my time, which is why this is happening. Okay, so here what you will see is you'll see that now with a solid and that with a color. So now you actually, it's completely opaque. So if you just wanted to do, say, dots and make this look like just a dot border, there you have that. Okay. Another thing that you can do if you want it to not have that kind of look is, again, you can just take these from the die set that it comes with. Ooh, I can't get it off my paper. And set them on top of each other this way. And that will give you that same effect. And then you could overlay this way. Now, again, you're missing that other ring. So if you really wanted to, you could come back in with the outer ring. And that's why these rings are here, is so that you can come in and give a little bit more depth and dimension and more color, and come back in and accent your pieces up again. Okay, so again, there's lots of different ways that you can put this together, and lots of different ways that this die set can be used. And of course, you don't have to use the whole die set. You can come in here and you can cut this apart. And now you have something that can be used for a card, a 6x6 page, an 8x8 page, and so on and so forth. Okay, and again, this piece, if you wanted to, you could still do here. And you could cut by hand this outside edge as well. So I really hope you enjoy this. Oh, one more thing before I let you go. The reason why I didn't have you adhere it down first is when you're doing this, what you're going to do is you're going to take your temporary adhesive or you're going to take your glue gun, whichever you're going to do. Oh, I haven't used this one today, so it might be stopped up a little bit. Okay, I'm not wearing my glasses. I can't see what I'm doing. Come on. All right, there we go. Get that hole open. Come on, glue. There we go. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to layer in this circle here. Doesn't have to be pretty because, again, this is on the back. Now, this one is sitting just, I mean, just slightly off of the edge. This 1.5 inch circle is actually going to come in a little bit more because they're not exactly 1.5 inches, you know, because I'm special that way. I didn't plan it a long time ago when I first did these, but I will tell you that all of our circles are, like I said, they're designed to partner with each other, and so they are concentric throughout our entire line. They do repeat. Okay, so there we go. So now, once you've done this, once you've backed some of these bubbles, now you have a solid surface. So now you can actually go back in with your larger adhesives, your larger ATGs and everything else, and you can just tack all the different spots where these are going to be on your bubbles. So if you want, like, let's say I want to do another one here. Okay. Do it like that. And so on and so forth. Let me have it. Let me have it back. Let's do another one. Let's do another one. I'm trying to come into that edge as close to the edge as I can because I know that this one only overlaps very slightly. And the more you use the dies, the more you'll really learn all the different little ins and outs of your sets. Okay. So there you have it. And there, oops, I'm probably slightly out of frame there. There you go. All right. I really hope you love our die sets as much as I love creating them for you. I'm, again, really excited to bring this die set to you because it has been one that I have wanted to create for quite some time. So I'm really excited that this is now available for everybody. I hope you enjoy. Please go to www.outlawsdies.com and give us a shout out on Facebook or give us a shout out on YouTube here about what you think of our dies. And of course, I'm always open to new ideas. So if there's something that's not out there in the market that you guys really want to see, shoot me an email. I'm happy to hear it. If you didn't already know as well, our YouTube site is located on the back of all of our packaging, as is our website, outlawsdies.com. Okay, we also are on Facebook. If you haven't already joined our group, please do. I love seeing what everybody's doing with our dies, and you'll also get tips, techniques, sneak peeks, and other things on that site as well. It is Outlaws INC. Facebook would not allow us to use dies in our title, so we did have to switch that a little bit. So look for Outlaws INC in the groups and request to join. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.